imagine that you're a VP of sales, and at the end of every month, you got to pay out commissions. That may seem like an easy task, but it's not, because commission structures change all the time, and there's always new salespeople coming in, and they're all starting at different times, and they're all on different comp plans. And it's extremely time intensive to be able to manually calculate and send commissions every month, especially if you have a team of 30 or 40 reps and you're doing this every month. You're copying and pasting things into spreadsheets, you're running crystal reports. There's a lot of room for error. It's a huge time suck, very labor intensive. So with Captivate, that goes away. You literally click a button and the commissions are calculated automatically, irregardless of how complicated the comp plan is. So when I first start with an email, one of the first places I like to look is not the marketing materials. Fine for marketing, but not going to help us when we write a sales email. I like to look under this resource section. It's where it usually is, under customer success stories or case studies. This is a treasure trove of information for writing cold emails. We can see right here on the page, we see Gong doing something much better, running commissions 60 times faster as they're growing the team. And when we go into case studies, and these are all usually always written the same way, there's usually a before section, what sucked before, and then what changed for the better after. Sometimes they'll call them challenges and solutions. Sometimes they'll call it before and after, but they're always usually written the same way. This is the black and white version of the infomercial. One thing I like to avoid when I come to a page like this is any kind of marketing words like award-winning. That's fine for marketing, but it's not going to help us with emails, because when we use words like award-winning, those are very vague and generic words. And because everyone uses them, they don't stand out. These are like white circle words in a sea of white circles. What we're looking for is something more specific and crispy. And what I always like to look for are these quotes. So we can actually see, here's what sucked before. Determining payouts involve lots of manual data entry, customizing reports for each individual rep, hard pasting Excel pages into Google Sheets. This stuff is gold. And I know it's how customers sound because this is actually in a quote. Even if I don't exactly know what this means, I can tell it's sucky. And this is the kind of stuff we're looking for. Also see, what changed for the better afterwards. They're running these things, much quicker in seconds. They are calculating them 60 times faster than they did before. So this is enough information that we need once we kind of get a grasp of the before and the after to start writing the email. So let's actually start that. So this is the Captivate IQ cold email. The first sentence is really important, and there's two ways to write first sentences. One way is to personalize it, and one way is to make it personal. Let me explain the difference. Personalizing it would mean I'd have to actually look at the prospect and find something about them on their LinkedIn profile that I could use that relates to what I'm selling. That's fine. It's a great approach, but sometimes you can't find anything, and so you need a fallback. That's where personal comes in. So personal is something truthful that you can observe that's based on a situation that the prospect is going through. What do I mean by that? A few years ago, a hurricane came through Boca Raton, Florida, Hurricane Irma. So a situation everybody in Boca Raton, Florida is facing is that their landscaping got messed up. That's not a opinion, that's a fact. So what I could say in the truth sentence is, Josh, I'm guessing your landscaping got pretty torn up by Irma. That's a situation that not just me, but everybody in Boca Raton is probably experiencing. Let me give you another example. Let's say you're a triathlon coach and you see a list of people that signed up for Ironman Cozumel, and it's 12 weeks away. You could say, Josh, 12 weeks until Ironman Cozumel. That again is a situation, right? So for Captivate, what we know is a situation to be true is that commissions are typically paid at the end of the month, every month. That's just a situation that people paying commissions are always in. It's a true statement. So we can actually start our email like this. Steve, end of the month and lots of commissions to pay. That's a truthful statement about a situation that Steve is in because we know people like Steve. This isn't personalized to Steve. We could send this to all Steves. It's personal, but not personalized based on what Steve is going through. So that's the context. Situation provides context. The reason we're reaching out to Steve and the reason we're reaching out now. Okay, next sentence is what we call the think sentence. And this is where we want to ask a question that gets Steve to think differently about how he's making progress today. Nobody's sitting around not doing nothing. They're all solving the problem the best way they know how. Our job is to shine a light on a problem they might not know about or an opportunity they can realize. Show them what's possible. So as we go back to our story, one way I like to phrase this is like, hey, how are you dealing with this stuff? How are you dealing with, when you run commissions, all this stuff that sucks? This hard pasting Excel pages into Google Sheets, manually making adjustments. And what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to lift that right from here because that's the customer's language. And that sentence is going to look like this. Let's see if I can type this in here. Curious, how are you dealing with the labor-intensive, error-prone process of hard pasting Excel pages into Google Sheets, running commissions, and then manually making adjustments one sheet at a time? How did I get that? I just lifted it from here. I mean, I could make it a little shorter. How are you dealing with the error-prone process of hard pasting Excel pages into Google Sheets every time you run commissions? I don't even need this part, but I'm going to leave it in there because it's a little more specific. And it's actually something that a customer said, so it might be more relevant to people like him. So that's that sentence. The next sentence is our third party validation sentence. And this is, what changed for the better that made the client more awesome? So what changed for another client that made them more awesome? Because people love to see what other people are doing that are making them more awesome. So we're going to go to the after section or the solution, and we can see here that the results where they're actually running these things in just 5 minutes, right? Instead of 5 hours. So we can actually play with that. 5 hours to 5 minutes. I really like that a lot. And come here and we're going to paste that in here. Let's see. That's going to look like this. Gong is using Captivate to run monthly commissions in, let's just, instead of saying 60x faster, because sometimes this can sound a little hypey, in 5 minutes instead of 5 hours. And then I'm going to say what they don't have to do today. No more rebuilding individual Google Sheets manual entry or customizing reports. I'm going to make this a little shorter because it looks a little long. I'm going to play with this a little bit. Or placing it in Google Sheets, running commissions. I'm going to actually cut this here. Yeah, that looks way better. Yeah, because I'm going to shrink this down a little bit because it's going to look like this in an email. Yeah, that looks nicer. Steve, end of month and lots of commissions to pay. Curious, how are you dealing with the labor-intensive, error-prone process of hard pasting Excel pages into Google Sheets running commissions? Gong is using Captivate IQ to run monthly commissions in 5 minutes instead of 5 hours. No rebuilding, no terrible things that you're doing today. So this word no shows contrast. You could use the word no, or you could also use the word without, right? Without having to do all these sucky things that I have to do today. So that's the third party validation. And it's based on a similar client that's doing something that's making them more awesome. And then finally, the last is talk with a question mark. We're not going to assume they want to talk. We're going to see if it's interesting first. And there's lots of ways to do this, but here's one way. Is to just say worth the conversation. And that's our email. Your job is going to be to take a look at one of your customer success stories and replicate this structure for your prospect.